right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Music Bowl. As people try to kill me, sorry about that. If you're listening just to the podcast, some guy just tried to pull out in front of me, and my visor was down, which is why I couldn't see, because it was so dark. But yeah, anyway, guy tried to pull out in front of me. Had to navigate that. Or he did pull out in front of me, I should say. Navigated that. Okay, so I just went through Ellenville. I am coming up on just a really cool mountainous area that I thought would be fun to show on this particular ride. As always, I don't think I have much to say, and I'll probably ramble for 20 minutes as I have been usually doing. So, but today is June 24th as I'm filming this, and today was the last day for classes in the New York public school system, New York State public school system. For many of you, if you're not from New York and you're from a much more reasonable state, you've probably been done for a couple of weeks at least. Let's see if I can get a view here. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. And yeah, too many trees. Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. We'll find out when I check the video after. But yeah, so today was the last day of classes. If you're from somewhere else, you may have been done late May or even early June, but here in New York, we went all the way to today, the 24th. And I want to just briefly address my education friends today, which we'll do momentarily, because I think I got some views coming up. Normally you can see over all of this, but the stupid trees are in the way. There's a little bit. Ooh, dang. All right, a little bit of the view. As always, it's somewhat difficult to navigate and drive straight and point my chin in a different direction so that I'm showing you guys the cool views and not crashing. Pardon me. Right around this corner is going to be another big view, and if no one's behind me, I can actually go a lot slower over this one to kind of show you some cool stuff. This is a very fun ride. I've done this one many a times. This is actually, I don't know if I said where I am, but as I came out of Ellenville, this is 52, and I believe this is 52 south, or maybe it's 52 east. I'm not actually sure, but nobody behind me. Will slow way the hell down, and would you look at that? Ooh. Open up the visor, come off to the side here. Dang. Absolutely beautiful. I realize I could pull over and just stop, but I don't want to do that. I don't like doing that. Ooh, that rail got close. All right. Let us go. There should be a little bit more of that around this corner as well. And again, not going to stop, but I will slow down. this is, like I said, 52. If you want more of those views, come see them. I might eventually someday do a ride where I do actually stop and maybe do a more of a just a straight like touristy sort of video. I just don't like stopping on the ride. If I did that for every cool, beautiful thing I saw, I'd be stopping constantly. And it's already 7 o'clock at night for me on this day, which, as a reminder, again, last day of school was today, so it's already 7 o'clock. I got about another hour to ride, so I would like to just kind of keep it moving here a little bit. But yeah, so last day was today. So what I want to say to all of my education friends is, if you survived this year and you're going to come back in the fall and still be a teacher, like, that's an absolutely amazing job. You did phenomenal. You were amazing this year. Especially if this was your first year teaching. My God, this was the hardest year I've had. Granted, I've only been teaching 4, but I taught for a year before COVID. Well, I taught for a year in high school before COVID. I have taught, you know, much longer than that. But anyway, I taught at the high school level for a year before COVID. I taught for, you know, the 2 years that the vid was happening. And then I taught this year. And this was by far the hardest year. I'm not actually, well, I think I know why. I was going to say I'm not exactly sure why, but I think I know why. Went a little wide on that one, but that's okay. I think it's because that before COVID, or the kids who were in 4th grade when like the COVID stuff happened, became 7th graders overnight. And there was so much social emotional learning that did not happen that they would normally just get by being in school and like learning how to conduct themselves, that there was so much craziness that happened this year as a result of that. I feel like our students learned a ton about themselves this year. A lot of them, even through the COVID stuff, we're learning so much about how they learn. I know so many, like the majority of my students said they'd rather be in the classroom than at home doing the virtual learning, which was my exact sentiment even in college. I absolutely hated taking online classes, and I did so much better when I got to sit in a classroom. And like hear the professor in real time, versus just reading about some stuff and doing the assignments that way on my own. Like, it was, I so much preferred being in a class. So it's cool that a lot of my students also figured that out and can take that valuable information with them to college to know, like, if you have the chance to take online or in person, you now know, like, do it in person. But anyway, I wanted to keep talking about to my educator friends, not to our students. Yeah, so if you taught through the COVID stuff, you're also a champion. Like, you are absolutely amazing. Even if you did a terrible job, if you survived and you're gonna come back in the fall to your same job, like that is absolutely amazing. Like, you just did, like, you did a phenomenal job. It doesn't even matter. What you can do is regroup, reassess, you know, continue to improve and get better yourself. But we should be doing that anyway as educators. And so, and especially as musicians, if we're going to claim to be musicians, we got to always be growing and pushing ourselves. And then that we can bring that experience to our students. But yeah, so I just wanted to say congratulations to everyone who was an educator, who survived the year, who got through it, is going to come back. I know some of us had better districts than others in terms of how things were handled the whole time, in terms of communication, in terms of so many things. But like this year, I know for all of us, every single day, policies were changing in terms of, are we wearing masks, are we not, how far do we need to be, Can we share instruments? Can we, like, there was so much stuff that happened. Are we having Regents? Because our January Regents got canceled in New York. Regents, by the way, for anyone not from New York, is just state mandated testing that the state provides for us that we have to give to the kids. And yeah, so we didn't even have those in January, but we did in June. And so even that, and they weren't even canceled until like maybe a week before we were supposed to give them. And then even one of the June ones got canceled in New York for a bunch of stuff. And like, it was just totally a shit show the whole time. And so make sure you sit on a beach and do nothing but drink mimosas for a week this summer. Like, now is the time to take that vacation and go and do something crazy. I have a big trip coming up. I'm not going to disclose just yet what that is. Obviously my friends and family and some of my colleagues know, but I will be talking about that more on the channel this coming summer. But I do have some cool stuff coming up that I will be sharing with you guys. But like, make sure you go and do something somewhere. I got friends that I know are going to sit on the beach in Panama. I've got some that are going to be sitting in their own hot tub all summer, and that's also fine. Like, but make sure that you spend some time doing nothing. Like, at this point, I won't be checking my work email. If I have to do something, I told my colleagues, like, if we have to do anything for the school, make sure you text me, because I'm not checking my email. I'm not going to be I don't want to be a part of anything. I just want to enjoy 2 months off after the absolute insanity that was these past couple of years. And it really does feel like this is the first summer since like 2019. I don't know why, but I think we all just got so used to the virtual stuff that we all kind of forgot to take a break last summer. And the world was still fairly closed last year. We couldn't really go and do anything with our summer break. So this year, where things are much more open, it might not be the easiest thing. And I know the economy is total shit and we're paying so much for everything, but I mean, just try and go and do something somewhere, even if it's sitting in an Airbnb 2 towns over. Like, just go somewhere where you don't have to think. So that's part one. Part two of something I want to address is a sentiment that was given to me by a lot of my high school teachers. And most of them, pardon me, most of them, when they found out that I was going to be going into education, when I was going to become an educator, told me, I hope all of your students are just like you, because that would be the ultimate payback if they're all how you were as a student. Because admittedly, well, I don't want to say I was a bad student. Maybe I was. I got really good grades, I'll put it that way. But because school was easy for me, it really was. It wasn't hard to get good grades. I never had to study. I was very lucky that I got it for the most part. I sucked at math, and I was very unapologetic about the fact that I didn't give a shit. But because stuff was so easy for me, I did fuck off a lot. And yeah, I don't want to say I got in trouble a lot, but I wasn't always the most fun to deal with. But I was just so bored because shit was so easy, so I would just fuck off. And so all of my teachers would say, I hope they're all just like you, because that'll be the greatest retribution to, like, for you to have students who put you through as much as you put us through. And I want to say that all of my students are just like me. They are awesome. They are some of the coolest people I know. They were just amazing students. Even the ones who did absolutely nothing. And this is the key point, that just because someone doesn't get good grades in your classroom, and just because they don't give a shit about your particular subject, doesn't mean they're a bad human being. And I feel like so many of my teachers in high school, and so many of my teachers, that was a big bump, so many of my colleagues, man, I gotta, oh hey, I'm sorry guys, you know how terrible I am at navigating these lights and talking. so many of my colleagues, I don't want to say so many, but some of my colleagues have a really hard time separating a student's grades and their accomplishments in class to who they are as individuals and people. And I think I wanted to turn there. This is going to be the long way around. Is that okay? Do I care? I don't necessarily think I do, but this road I do know is really bad, so we'll stand up for a bit. And I have, for example, students who failed my class and still come and hang out and see me, on a regular basis. Because even though they failed, even though they did absolutely nothing for me, and let me know every day how much they didn't give a shit about learning to play guitar or piano or music in general or any of that stuff, they were still athletes. They were still people who watched anime. They were still people who played video games. They were still really funny individuals. Pardon me. And this goes into, I know I say a lot of times, just in terms of music, how you have to be well-rounded and know your stuff. You should be checking out so many different genres and things like that. But it also, you have to be a well-rounded individual yourself. Like, because I watch anime, because I play video games, because I do know so much music outside of just classical and jazz and the guitar stuff that I'm teaching, because I have all of that, I was an athlete. All those things lead me to be able to really connect to my students. And I would really urge you to make sure you're making those connections with all of your students, even the ones who tell you to fuck off and let you know that they don't care about learning your subject. You don't get to choose what everybody's priority is. And granted, I will clarify, there are some students that you're going to try and they won't care, and they're not even going to, they might be an athlete and you might try and talk to them about it, they're just not going to care. You have to be able to just let that go. You have to be able to just say, like, all right, I'm still going to treat this kid with respect, but I don't have to waste my energy on this student. And it doesn't mean that you don't necessarily, you can still try, say hi, you're still personable, you still are the best educator you can be, but you can't let your own identity also be wrapped up into how well your students perform. And that's another big thing as well. Not only do teachers wrap up a student's identity in how well they do, they wrap up their own identity in how well their students do. And there are so many factors that go into how well a student is going to do that you can't do that, right? Like, you just absolutely, even your students who might be doing really well, something really bad can happen in their life and it derails the whole thing, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, like, maybe I'm a bad teacher, or things can creep in like that of how do I help this, not necessarily how do I help the student, but how do I explain this? I'm doing a terrible job, I apologize. This is not the talk that I planned on giving today, by the way, but when I set out for the ride I was going to do something else, but this one seemed much more poignant. Because school just, oh no, oh my gosh, I almost just murdered a chipmunk, and I didn't. Luckily he got away, but oh my gosh, I would have felt so terrible. He moved at the last second. Oh, good grief. What I was saying, you can't tie up either your student's humanity or your own worth, oh, they have trap shooting back there, as into how well your students do. Obviously we want them to do well, and obviously we're going to put as much effort in as we can to help that happen, but you shouldn't be losing sleep at night over students who do shitty. It's just, you got to let them go, you got to let them do their thing. So I get the sentiment of why my high school teachers would say that, because I did put them through a lot of shit. Some of them in particular, I let them know very much that I did not care to learn their subject. I didn't see a value in it, and I thought it was stupid, and I didn't try very hard. And they very much had the right. They could have just said like, okay, that's fine, and then been done with it and let me get whatever marks I was gonna get, because that's also part of it. Like, dang, these are nice houses. Some students are okay with getting whatever grade they get. Like, they might fail the class, but they don't give a shit, and that's not for you to decide. So I was okay getting whatever grades I got in all of my classes, and some teachers still wanted me to be trying to get 90s and 100s, and it's like, look, I fucking hate math. At least I'm talking about myself in high school. Nowadays I watch number file and 60 symbols and do all sorts of sudokus and shit like that. But I hated math back in high school, and I told them, like, look, this is stupid, it's bullshit, I don't understand it, I'm not gonna use this shit ever in my life. So how about you just like go help other kids who give a shit and just leave me to do whatever? And people would get mad about that. And when students react that way to me about guitar, it's like, look, man, I don't care about guitar, I don't care about music, I'm never gonna use this stuff, it's totally stupid. I try to explain to them, well, maybe someday you're gonna try and learn another task, and I just want you to go through the process of learning something so you know how to help yourself learn and all this stuff, right? I can reasonably explain it to them. And I have had students who say like, okay, you know what, I'll put in a little bit of effort, I'll see how it goes. And I have had some students who on day one tell me like, this class fucking sucks, but then they put in some of the work, they start to play, and then they love it. And I have some that never find that joy in it, right? And they don't have to. They tell me, nah, dude, fuck you, and I'm not gonna learn this stuff, I'll take the zeros, I don't give a shit. And I just say, okay, like, that's this is not, I'm not here to like argue and yell with someone who is clearly like, it's not gonna help anyway, right? So to my educator friends, those are my like couple big takeaways. Woo, look at this field, come on, how good is that? Listen, this is what I mean, I can't stop every time I see something beautiful. Because like for me, that brown field is just cool. So yeah, so the two big takeaways that I hope you got from this school year, that I got, that I continually learn, that I hope you understand, is if you taught this year, you got through it, and you're coming back next year, you were amazing. It literally can only get better. This year was absolute hell. I don't know how it gets any worse than what we just had to deal with. So like, just know that, just know it's gonna get there, it will get better. And then the things that have always helped me sleep at night, that help me stay sane, that, you know, make it so that I'm not doing yoga and, you know, all sorts of other stuff to help keep myself calm and relaxed, is you cannot tie your humanity and your students' humanity to the output of their work. Like, obviously you're going to try, but you gotta let them just do what they're going to do, and they will figure it out along the way. There's probably a lot more I could say. I have a lot of thoughts, but we are already at the rambling for 20 minutes when I didn't think I had that much to say. A lot of that up front, to be fair, was trying to get some of those views on 52 as we come into the little town of Walden at this point. Oh, actually, and I'll let it go, because maybe there's a cool waterfall up ahead that maybe I can get a cool view of. I gotta stand up. Ugh. I'm gonna stretch out here a little bit. But there is a cool, there's a cool waterfall over here. Let's see if we can get a view of it. There's a bridge around this corner. I'm glad they finally paved these roads too, by the way. This was really, really bad. Let's see if they paved around the corner as well. But let's see if we can... stupid tree. And of course the paving stopped. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, those are my opinions on just what has kind of happened these past couple of years, and some things that I've wanted to rant about a little bit to some of my educator friends. So as always, let me know what I got wrong, where am I full of shit, what did I get right, all the good, all the bad, let me know. And as I go through Walden, I will let you guys I will let you get to whatever you have left in your day. So yeah, as always, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.